Hello YouTube! We're on the Real Programming channel. I'm its host. My name is Andrei. I greet you. Welcome. This is our 21 lesson. It's about HTML and JavaScript. We will talk about what can we do with JavaScript objects. Okay, and some things you can do with objects. First, don't forget, remember, you will find all the code and materials under this video in the description link to Google Drive. Okay, and let's go. Access object properties with dot notation. First, let's look on Sublime Text. Sorry. Okay. Use the object along with a dot and a property name to access the value of that property. Use a dot. Here is the object, and then the property name. And 2. Access properties using a string with square brackets notation. Use the object along with the property name and wrapped in quotes and in brackets and access the value of the property. Now we use brackets, square brackets around the property name. Here is the objects and the property name in quotes. We find not dot notation the more readable of the two. And 3. Change a property's value. We are changing Fido's weight, his breed, and adding a new item on of his loves array. Push simply adds a new item to the end of an array. And 4. Enumerate all an object's properties. To enumerate is to go and total all the properties of the object. To enumerate the properties, we use a for in tab. Each time to the loop, the variable prop gets the string value of the next property name, and we use the square brackets notation to access the value of the property. Note the order of the properties is arbitrary, so don't count on a particular ordering. And 5. Have fun with an object's array. Here is we assign the value of Fido's loves array of variables likes. We can loop toad and like the likes array and create a like string of all the Fido's interests. And we can alert the string. And 6. Pass an object it a function. Function bark, we can pass an object to a function just like any other variable, and in the function we can access the object's properties like normally use the parameters name for the objects, of course. We pass in Fido as our argument to the function bark, which expect a doc objects. The dot operator. The dot operator gives you access to an object's properties in general to its either to read then with square bracket string notation. Fido dot weight is the size of Fido. Fido dot breed is the breed of Fido. Fido dot name is the name of Fido. Fido dot loves is the array containing Fido's interests. Can we add properties to object after we have defined them? Yes, you can add or delete properties at any time. To add properties to an object, you simply assign a new property value like this. Fido age is equal 5. And from the point on Fido, we'll have a new property age. Likewise, you can delete any properties with delete keyword like this. delete feeder age. When you delete a property, you're not just deleting the value of the property, you're deleting the property itself. In fact, if you use feeder.age, after deleting it, it will evaluate to undefinite. The delete expression returns true if the property was deleted successfully, or if you delete a property that doesn't exist, or if what you're trying to delete isn't a property of an object. Let's talk about passing objects to functions. We've already talked a bit about how arguments are passed to function. Arguments are passed by value. So if you pass an integer, the corresponding function's parameter gets a copy of the value of the integer for its use in the function. The same rules holds true for objects, however, we've got to look a little more closely at what variable holds when it is assigned to an object to know what this means. When an object is assigned to a variable, that variable holds a reference to the object, not the object itself. Think of a reference pointer of the objects. When an object is assigned to a variable, the variable is given a reference to the objects. It doesn't hold the object itself. So when you call a function and pass it an object, you're passing the object's reference, not the object itself, just a pointer to it. A copy to the reference is pasted into the parameter, which then points to the original objects. When we call bark and pass it feeder as an argument, we get a copy of the reference to the dog object. So what does this all mean? Well, when you change a property of the object, you're changing the property in the original object, not a copy, and so you'll see all the changes you make to an object within and outside of your function. Let's step toward an example using a lose-weight function for dogs. Putting feeder on a diet. Let's take a look. It was going on when we pass feeder to lose weight and change the dot weight property. First, we defined an object feeder, and we are passing that object into a function lose weight. Feeder is a reference to an object, which means the object doesn't live in the feeder variable, but is pointed to by the feeder variable. When we pass feeder to a function, we are passing the reference to the object. And 2. The dog parameter of the lose weight function gets a copy of the reference to feeder, and so any changes to the properties of the parameters affect the object that was passed in. When we pass feeder into lose weight, what gets assigned to the dog parameters is a copy of the reference and not a copy of the object, so feeder and dog point to the same object. The dog reference is a copy of the feeder reference. So when we subtract 10 pounds from dog.weight, we are changing the value of a feeder.weight. Okay. And now showing at the Webville Cinema. The Webville Cinema has come to us for help with their JavaScript API. It's exercise. Let's start simple and design the movie object for them. What we need is a couple of movie objects that each include a title, genre, a movie rating 1 or 2, 5 stars, and a set of show times. Go ahead and sketch out your movie object design. Here you can use our dog object as a model. Here is some simple data you can use to populate your objects. Plan 9 from outer space, which shows at 3 pay-me, 7 pay-me and 11 pay-me. It's in a general cult, classic and has a 2-star rating. Forbidden Planet, which shows at 5 pm and 9 pm, is in a genre classic sci-fi and has a 5-star rating. And this solution will be in the next lesson, and feel free to add your favorites instead. Design your objects in comment, for example. Next showing is that we'll talk about this in the next lesson, and showing at the Webuild Cinema, and we'll in the next lesson. And here is our lesson 21 about HTML and JavaScript is over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, please put likes, share with friends, comment, do exercise every evening, read more books on the topics, drink more water for the brain, and eat bananas, chocolate and nuts. That's all. Thank you. Bye.